You guys are pretty funny. I'm not wearing elven battle armor. I wish I was, like my X-Men jacket. That would be pretty hilarious. That was a funny guess as to what I would be wearing today. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to gift 5 memberships. I see that Randy already gifted 5. It's the beginning of a week of streams. Every week I gift 5 memberships so that I can try to match the generosity of this community. All right, here we go. And then we'll get into the upfronts, because it was quite the presentation today. Here they come. Process my purchase, YouTube. Why so slow? There we go. Thank you, Aralysis. Thank you for gifting some memberships as well. Thank you, Lawson. Thank you, Tiger Shark Studios. Thank you. And if you'd like to be eligible to receive a gifted membership, make sure that you turn on that you're willing to receive gifts on your YouTube account. Thanks, Danny. All right, so I'm going to cook. And then at the end, I'll keep an eye on your comments. But then at the end of the stream, of course, you can ask me anything that you would like, okay? So let's get started. And I'm going to, CM, I'm going to answer your question first. What is an upfront? Well, upfronts are presentations, like everything in Hollywood, and I think that's great. They're becoming more recognized by the general public. But upfronts have been around for quite some time. And upfronts are presentations for advertisers. It's where all of these companies, it used to be largely networks. Then also cable got in, and then you're seeing this year, it's almost primarily streaming services. A lot of you are wondering, isn't this just the return to cable? Well, they've gotten rid of the middle person, and all of these studios are selling content or ads on their own content. Well, they're selling it twice. They're selling it to you as a consumer. Maybe that's one of the reasons this has become more public, because in a way, you are paying for the content as well with your subscription. And, if you want, a lot of you, particularly because there are so many services these days, are paying for streaming services that are ad supported to bring the cost down. And that's what these presentations are about, selling those ads. So the point is to get advertisers excited about the upcoming slate for these streaming services and to purchase ads. I've had my experiences in some companies, Beyond the Trailer has always been independent, but, a couple of times I've, operated outside. I had like a distribution deal. So sometimes I would operate out of other offices. And I can tell you that advertising was the most important part of the office. Anywhere I went, more important than editorial, more important than the news, more important than anything that you could do. It was were ads being sold on the content. So it's extremely important. So that's what upfronts are. Now, some of you are asking about other upfronts. So hold on, I've got graphics galore. All right, so here's the schedule for this week's upfront presentation. Yesterday, NBC Universal presented, as did the Fox Corporation, what's left of it, and Telemundo. And not one of them generated a headline yesterday. It was Snooze City. Today, though, Amazon had a very early presentation at 9:30 a.m. I'm sure they gave breakfast to everybody in attendance, and they knocked it out of the park. It was one of the best presentations I've ever seen. It was like a Marvel-level presentation. They threw the gauntlet down. I have no idea how anybody else is going to be able to compete. Thank you, Jay. That's such a sweet thing for you to say. I really appreciate that, and very generous of you. So Amazon, I'm sure I think it's too late for a lot of companies to change what they're going to do this year. But I think that everybody's going to be like, remember Prime Video's presentation in 2024? We got to do that good a job. We'll talk about the bundles poke. All right, then later today, actually right now, Televisa Univision is presenting. Nobody's really paying too much attention. And then later, of course, Disney will present at the Javits Center. Oh, big crowd, at 4 p.m. Unfortunately, I will not. I probably will have to cover those announcements tomorrow. I'm hoping I can cover if there's an Agatha trailer. I'm hoping I can react before I have to go. But I have a screening later today for If that's kind of early that I have to run out to. And then tomorrow it's a little bit difficult for me because I have a Furiosa screening smack in the middle of the day, and I got to get that. I'm going to have to get up like at 5 a.m. tomorrow because I have to do the X-Men breakdown. So, and I'm trying to do a live tomorrow to break down the Disney presentation. So, it'll work out. All right, and then where is Net? Oh yeah, tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm like, why tomorrow? Why don't you guys do this stuff on Thursday? So tomorrow morning, Warner Brothers Discovery will present. I have no idea why they released their House of the Dragon trailer today. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to cover Wicked, Just Blaze Disney, because of how crowded it is, and Universal has a very difficult policy for their trailers. So I don't know why they're releasing the Wicked trailer tomorrow. I think it's ridiculously dumb. Maybe that's you saying that's why they did House of the Dragon today? I'd be like, my presentation is tomorrow. I don't care. Hey, Superscript. All right, so 10 a.m., Warner Brothers Discovery is presenting at the theater at Madison Square Garden. Then Netflix presents at 2:30 at some Pier 59 space I've never heard of. And then YouTube is at Lincoln Center, closing out the day at 6 p.m. Pretty sweet for YouTube. I'm not only, of course, on YouTube, so I'm like, yes, home base, a home team. But of course, it's been reported that actually people watch YouTube more than anything. I think there was a graphic that said when you factor in like Disney's ABC television and the cable channels that they own, that they're the most watched, followed by YouTube. But I think YouTube has so much market space that I saw them actually also saying they should be considered for Emmys. So we'll see if they're able to do that as streaming continues to blur the line. All right, so yes, as many of you talked about, it's a good thing that Prime Video had such a strong presentation because they ain't part of no bundle. Everybody's joining up into clicks, and Amazon Prime Video is all by itself. But then, of course, Prime Video also offers free 2-day shipping. So I guess maybe that's one of the issues that, maybe that's one of the reasons it's difficult to partner with them. But these are the bundles. We already talked about last week that Hulu and Disney Plus had combined with Max for a bundle this summer. And not to be outdone, NBC Universal has decided to team with Netflix and Apple TV, although I love seeing Apple TV get its flowers. And they're going to do a competing bundle themselves. And then I guess, if you want your free 2-day shipping, you'll keep Prime as well. None of the price points have been announced for any of this, but I'll be curious to see what they come up with. Now, as for Amazon's presentation today, we'll get into the individual stories in a moment, but it was incredible. As I said, this is the kind of presentation you usually see at fan events, and I haven't seen anyone do this good a presentation since the glory days of Hall H. Even Comic-Con hasn't been able to do this well lately. I think D23, D23 is every other year. They've had some banger years as well. But this was just an incredible presentation. I never saw such a good argument for why you should be subscribed to a service. It was really, really strong. So that's very exciting. All right, so let's see what you guys think once we're done. While I go through all of the announcements. There are 9 major announcements for us to go over. Okay, that's why it's its own stream. Woohoo! Joy, I don't believe that any of these presentations, somebody said that Amazon streamed their presentation, so I checked. I did not see Disney presenting anywhere. These are not public presentations. Even though the media reports on them and fans and consumers are interested, they are primarily for advertisers. And so they're industry events. And so, for the most part, I do not believe that they're streamed. So, but maybe that'll change in the future. Jeff Bezos was not their CM. I believe usually who handles these events are the people who run the television divisions of these companies and the streaming services. And then also the other people, sometimes people who run the advertising, the people who actually sell the ads. Poke pointed out that Amazon streamed it on their advertising site because it wasn't for the general public. You could watch it, but that was for people who are interested in advertising on Amazon who weren't able to attend in person. All right, because that's the point. The whole point of these presentations is to sell ads on the streaming services. They go, hey, what do you think of this? Wouldn't you like your product to be presented with these shows? And you go, oh, yeah, I would. That looks pretty exciting. Okay, so next up. I'm going to do these, kind of in the order of excitement, but they're all so good. All right, so yes, Hot Sauron. Ooh, everybody loves Hot Sauron. So we had our first trailer. I don't really know if we're booping on this because I guess I can boop each division. So boop. All right, ye boop. All right, so the first Lord of the Rings, the first season didn't do too great. It was watched a lot all over the globe, but as I told you, I heard the completion rate was a little bit of an issue. But everyone's excited about it today. This and House of the Dragon were the only things to trend despite all these incredible announcements. So I think what everybody was most excited about, and by the way, this show will be returning August 29th, which is good. That's in the dead end of the summer, right for Labor Day weekend, and I think a lot of people are going to be like, there's nothing to watch. Maybe I'll get back into this, particularly because, as I said, you can enjoy Hot Sauron. That's who he is. It's the same actor who was Sauron last season, but that's what taking a shower and straightening your hair will do for you. And so everybody's paying attention to him. And he's, I also saw some people make some Elsa comparisons, which I thought was hilarious. Apparently his hair is tied in an actual literal bow in the back, which I think is kind of neat. And everybody was enchanted with Hot Sauron. So I think the show's got that going for it. And as I said, it's one of the only things to trend. Yes, he was a human, you're right, in the first season. Now it seems obviously that he's an elf. Remember, he's a shapeshifter, but I like that they're using the same actor. People are pointing out who are Lord of the Rings fans, that's Anatar, Sauron's fair-visaged disguise. That is ye old speak for hot. So yes, Hot Sauron, and everybody's, certainly captured everybody's attention. I think it'll be interesting to see, as you see now, two major companies really having a tug of war for this IP, because you've got not only Prime Video bringing back their show, but of course Warner Brothers just announced the Hunt for Gollum movie. And then I also saw a headline that France is having an animation festival next month in June, and apparently that's where we're going to get our first look at the animated Lord of the Rings movie. And also, side note, James Gunn's Creature Commandos, his animated DC project that's coming up. So Warner Brothers is going to apparently have a real space, a real presentation at that French animation festival. All right, so we'll see if Lord of the Rings maybe does become a thing in its second season. I gotta say the trailer looked pretty good if you're really, really into the Lord of the Rings. All right, so next story. Boop! Oh, look at that, The Boys. Even though it doesn't start season 4 until June 13th, it's already been renewed for season 5. That was part of one of the big announcements today. And in fact, Eric Kripke, who runs that show, said they're already working on writing season 5. They didn't say if it was the final season, Danny. What's interesting to me is that, Butcher is, terminally ill from taking Temp V. And I think a number of us are wondering about, that's funny, Enter for None. It is season V. Roman numeral for 5. That's a great advertising there. I wonder if they're going to do that. Or have they already done that? That's very clever. But then also, I think a number of us are wondering how much longer they can keep Homelander around because, the guy's just getting crazier and crazier. There at some point has to be some comeuppance. But yet at the same time, where is he? There he is. Woo, there's Homelander. How can you really have this show without Butcher and Homelander? I guess to some degree, Gen V was very, very successful, and even those characters only made small cameos at the very end. So, yeah, that's right. JA also said Gen V members could take over. By the way, they announced that Chance Perdomo, who tragically died on his way to getting ready to film season 2, very sad, they're not going to recast that role, that they're going to kill off the character and write that into the legacy of the show. Remember, at the end of Gen V season 1, they already revealed that he was sick, and so, unfortunately, it looks like he will not be able to beat that condition that he inherited from his father. But I'm very curious. I think that having another season totally changes the view of season 4 when you're watching it, because you know that it's going to continue. But I'm not saying, they might get rid of, Butcher and Homelander might, again, Enter for None said, season V, but it's like Gen V. Like maybe they will just go to the next generation. Gen V was a really good show. And even though it didn't do as well as The Boys, later seasons, it became quite popular. People really liked that show. And they're already moving some of the characters into the new season. So I'm very curious still to see what happens with season 4. Obviously, Prime Video feels very confident in this franchise, and they also feel confident in Eric Kripke's ability to keep it going. Although Eric Kripke, he's willing to take really big chances and risks. So I'm very curious to see what he does with season 4. I think, I don't know how Butcher and Homelander can both continue on. How can they both survive when they're both supposedly in their endgame scenario? Do you get a reprieval for both of them at the last minute? I don't know how I would feel. I don't know. I don't know if people would. It's tough. You don't want the show to lose its creativity and its authenticity, something that I think is what makes the show stand out. But at the same time, you don't want to lose those characters either. So it's tough. It's really hard. That's right, Stebity. They also have their Spanish language spin-off coming. I wonder when they're... You would think they would have talked more about that when they were in Mexico the other week. But I'm very curious. I mean, we've never seen a franchise do a different language spin-off show, which I think is very exciting, especially as Netflix has gotten more and more, English-speaking viewers to be open to dubbing and also subtitles. So, I mean, I would certainly watch the Spanish language show. That wouldn't be a barrier for me. And I would watch it in its original language with subtitles. So I think that's really cool. And so I think The Boys continues. That's funny, J.A. Don't milk it. That's pretty funny. I like that. But I'm very, very excited about it. I'm just great. I love The Boys. I hope it goes on for a very long time. I don't know how they're going to do it, but so far, so good. They already did a great job with the Gen V spinoff in that it actually mattered. I think one of the problems with the way Marvel built out its universe with streaming is that a lot of the shows had no repercussions. But, you won't be able to enjoy The Boys Season 4 unless you watched Gen V, because it so directly plays into the new season. So if you haven't watched Gen V, it's a great, great watch. You better get on it, or you're not going to be able to follow Season 4 of The Boys quite as well. All right, so next story. So many stories. All right, boop. Oh, look at this. Reese Witherspoon was the big gun at the presentation, because this is an old photo, of course. I couldn't find any photos of her at the presentation, even though there was video, but she showed up as Elle Woods to make this announcement. So, but it's not a spinoff. Simon says, the best show on Prime Video is Has Been Hotel. I know you guys love that show, some of you, and it did do very well, but unfortunately, they did not discuss it at all at this upfront. All right, so even though she was there to announce this show, it is a prequel. It is a prequel called Elle, and it's going to be during her high school years. Sounds pretty barfy to me, to be honest with you, but I'm wondering if maybe they're like, oh, look how well young Sheldon did, right? And I think they didn't say whether or not Reese Witherspoon's going to be in it. Joy, she is producing the show. To me, it sounds like maybe she'll narrate it, or maybe, bookend each episode, right? They didn't do any announcements as to who is going to be in this show, who will play younger Elle. Oralis says that they're the target audience. Well, I wonder if you think this is a good idea. I mean, I don't know. I think there are a lot of high school shows, and I wonder why the people who are fans of this franchise are now obviously much older than high school. So I don't understand why on earth they would want to go back and check this out. But maybe they would be interested. Amazon, they have a pretty diverse slate, as you can see, and they clearly have nothing like this. So, let's see how it does. They were developing one other show as well to spin off of Legally Blonde, but this is the one they decided to go with. Oh, Broke52 says her daughter should play a younger Elle. Usually I'm against nepotism. I think that it would really kill the show, but I kind of like that idea, especially if her daughter's talented. because they do look almost identical. So I think that would be an interesting idea. But yeah, basically the pitch, Adam Sphere, is it's Elle Woods in high school learning life lessons, and you get to see how she became the person that she is today. Mean Girl so blew up in the face of everybody involved with that musical movie version that I would be nervous about playing with this. Some of you are saying it sounds like the Carrie Diaries, which I never saw, but apparently some of you enjoy it. So we'll see how this does. It's being headed up by Laura Kittrell, who did the show Insecure and some show called High School. Both two shows. I mean, I'm familiar with Insecure, even though I never watched it. But we'll see how this show does. I couldn't be less interested in it myself personally, but I do know that that's a big brand, and a lot of people who were in attendance, who were in the media, who were, I guess, fans of the show, went absolutely nuts. Reese Witherspoon was back in character. So let's see if there's an audience for it. Now, Reese Witherspoon is booked and busy at Prime Video because not only does she have this Legally Blonde prequel, but boop, she's doing a movie with Will Ferrell that they released a trailer for, even though the film itself does not come out until January, like the end of January, like January 30th, I think, or something, 2025. So that's nuts. That's so far away, but yet still they had a trailer for it. The trailer was surprisingly edgy. Like, it started out like your typical wedding comedy. What's the movie about? It's basically like Bride Wars, but in fact, instead it's the friends of the people who are having the wedding. So Will Ferrell's daughter is getting married, and Reese Witherspoon's friend, I think, is getting married, or sister, or something like that. And they unfortunately have been double booked at the same resort. So they have to fight for space. You know, like who's going to get the prettier place for the wedding and who's going to have the better place for the reception and all that kind of stuff. And it gets that's the twist in the trailer, that it gets really heated really fast. You know, it's not, it is generic. It's as generic as heck, J.A. But I think, like, would you see that in theaters? Probably not. Would you stream it? Probably. Yeah, it is basically Bride Wars. But, I think with Will Ferrell. That's basically what it is. Nicolas Stoller is the writer-director. I kind of like Nicolas Stoller. I think he does a nice job. He's the main reason that I would give this a whirl. I mean, he recently did a show with Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen where they play like adult friends, like platonic friends. And I actually really liked that show. And it got renewed, even though nobody ever talked about it. And I was like, it was a great show. I don't know, I forget what it was called, but if you're looking for something to watch, I actually thought it was excellent, and I really liked that they were such good friends, and they were platonic. It showed that adult men and women could be friends, and I just thought it was really well done. And I just no, it's not physical, Harrison. I hate physical. That's just a Rose Byrne show. This is a show with Seth. I'll look it up now. I'll look it up. Hold on. Oh, is it just called Platonic? Oh, it is called Platonic. That's hilarious. It's a great show. It's on Apple TV, so if you're getting that bundle, go check it out. It's a fantastic show from Nicolas Stoller. Great show if you're looking for something to watch. Also, they're half-hour episodes. They're like 30 minutes, so it's like my new Glow, basically. I really like that show. All right. So I like Nicolas Stoller. And so that to me is what's most interesting about this. With Will Ferrell, he can go either way. I think a lot of Will Ferrell movies are excellent, but yet, Michelle doesn't think Will Ferrell is funny. But yet I saw that Casino movie with, I think, wasn't that Amy Poehler? And that was awful. That was just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So Will Ferrell, sometimes he phones it in. He's not above a paycheck gig. He also has just so much money at this point. Will Ferrell also produces a lot of stuff, like he produced Succession. Was that called The House? Is that what it was? Yeah, it was awful. Don't ever watch that movie. And then also Will Ferrell just bought himself a stake in a soccer team. I guess he saw how much fun Ryan Reynolds and that other dude from Always Sunny in Philadelphia were having with Wrexham. And so he went and bought a stake in a soccer club. Eurovision was... I actually liked Eurovision. They're right, Gap. Eurovision was actually a really strong movie. But yeah, Will Ferrell, he's just, I guess, doing whatever he wants these days. All right, then next up, boop, look at that. Roadhouse, baby, it's coming back. Doug Liman complained and cried so much about it, and no word yet on whether or not he's returning. Although I got to tell you, I don't think he needs to return. I don't think that Doug Liman is what made this work. I didn't particularly feel the film was, it was that well directed, but I thought it was fine. But I think you could definitely bring somebody back. That's right, Joy. It would be very awkward if Doug Liman's like, Doug Liman's like, he does like money, so he will go back. He did end up going to the premiere. But anyway, Roadhouse. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's having one heck of a week, by the way. Not only did he get this renewal, he got a second movie, but he's going to be hosting the Saturday Night Live season finale this weekend. I like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot. He's really silly, so I will be tuning in for sure. But yeah, so Jake Gyllenhaal, they're doing a sequel. There's been some debate apparently online, although who knows with that ridiculous AI tool that summarizes stories for Twitter. I was talking to somebody about it last night, and they were like, it has to learn, Grace. And I was like, well, how long is it going to take to learn? Because it continually is embarrassing that site by getting stories wrong. The funniest one was that it said that X-Men Apocalypse was a 2024 movie that people were debating. And I was like, this is the stupidest AI ever. I can't believe people are using AI to do their homework. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, apparently some people feel that they should not make a Roadhouse sequel. Did you watch the Roadhouse movie? Because it was totally set up for a sequel. I mean, it's totally meant to be movies where he just goes around the world beating people up, and being nice to everybody and, changing people's lives. I'm excited for it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought, it was especially a very good streaming film. Cosmics, I don't think it's good enough to be in theaters. But I really thought it was a great streaming film. And I would love to see it again. I would definitely want to watch it again. I thought it was really fun, and I think it's great. Kareem says Roadhouse is a hungover on Sunday movie. That's right. It was a great matinee. Like, it was a perfect matinee, like watching it like on a Saturday or Sunday morning. I mean, it was just good times. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm very happy for Jake Gyllenhaal that he finally got himself a franchise. Like, how many times has this guy tried to do something? He's so positive, though. And that's right, Conor McGregor did survive. I hope Conor McGregor comes back. He was great. He was a big part of why that movie was excellent. But it was hilarious. I don't know if you saw Jake Gyllenhaal. He gave an interview, and I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal, what a guy. So he said he was a finalist for Batman. And he said he didn't get it, obviously. Christian Bale got it instead. But he said, you know what? Christopher Nolan called him up and told him, sorry, we decided not to go with you. But he said, how cool is it that I got a call from Christopher Nolan personally, and I'm in contention for Batman? He was like, my career's going pretty good, I guess. And I was like, wow, Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, what a positive way to spin not getting Batman. What a great guy, though. I mean, he certainly makes a very nice living. He's doing what he loves. He has a lot of fans. He's hosting Saturday Night Live. I mean, he doesn't need to be Batman. And he was a great Mysterio, Yap Dem. That's right. I thought he was so good as Mysterio. When they said, is he dead? I was like, he better not be, because I want him to come back. All right. Then next up, Mr. and Mrs. Smith I got good news and bad news. Mr. and Mrs. Smith was renewed for a season 2, but they didn't confirm it, but it is widely speculated that neither Donald Glover or Maya Erskine, as you can see, are expected to return. So it's going to be an anthology series where every season it's a different couple. I really hate that, because I don't like what that means for the cliffhanger ending of season 1. Sorry if you haven't seen it yet, but it's still worth watching in my opinion. But also I think it makes it look like they decided they made a mistake with casting them. Obviously very different spin on the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie casting, and people were kind of jerks about that. And so I hope that that's not what the new casting reflects, when they go with, more traditionally hot actors. But Marduk, they didn't say whether or not Donald Glover was still involved even behind the scenes. They didn't mention him really at all. They said this was a new Regency Prime Video series and that those two companies were continuing it. So maybe it did very well. It did very well in the ratings, as we saw on Nielsen. So I'm pretty sad that they're not going to bring them back. I mean, I liked the first show. And also, wouldn't I want to see couples keep evolving? Do I want to see all these couples start again from scratch? I wonder if it might be like an LGBT couple. That would be an interesting take on it. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But I mean, also, what if you don't like the couple? Do you not watch that season? I mean, I would love, maybe they do survive and they're involved like in the background, potentially, Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, but I don't know. I'm worried about it. I mean, I really, really liked this show. And I wonder if it'll stay a binge, by the way, because it was such it was such a great binge because the episodes were short. But, it seems like we discovered yesterday on Movie Math that Prime Video likes to start shows off as a binge, get you hooked, and then in the follow-up seasons, they switch to weekly. But if they're going to switch it to a new couple, it should stay a binge, in my opinion. I really don't like the fact that it's a new couple. I mean, I reserve the right to change my mind when I find out who the couple is, but I'm unhappy about it because I really liked them so much. And I thought they had such growth as characters. I just don't know if I want to, I don't know. Although some of you seem to like the idea of a new couple. I don't know, starting from square one with yet another couple. I mean, are we going to do the same type of missions? Because like what was interesting about the show was like for one mission, it was like, it was like if they had a child. And so they talked about like that kind of a situation. And you're like, oh, cool. This mission is like it was like a fast forward on a real relationship. And so I don't know if I want to keep doing that from square one every time. All right, then, speaking of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as you might recall, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was supposed to originally play Mrs. Smith, but she had creative differences with Donald Glover that they just couldn't get past. But she's still at Prime Video doing a Tomb Raider live-action show. What? Now, of course, I was like, hey, aren't they doing an animated Tomb Raider show? And they still are over at Netflix. So I don't know why they're having competing Tomb Raider shows. There should be one Tomb Raider show, because then it's like what DC does. You split your audience. Everybody goes, which Lara Croft do you prefer? And you're like, no, there's only one Lara Croft, and that's who everybody needs to get behind. So they're having the Netflix animated series, and then they're doing this live action show. There's no word on whether or not Phoebe Waller-Bridge will actually be in the show, but she's the showrunner and she's writing the show. I really liked Fleabag quite a bit. Fleabag was a phenomenal show that made Phoebe Waller-Bridge famous and won her a ton of Emmys. But I feel like everything she's done after that has been just so bad and like just really, really awful that I'm very nervous about her take on Tomb Raider. She said she's a big fan of the game, the original game. So that would be, I guess that's positive. But like she was so bad in Star Wars and she was so bad in Indiana Jones. I just, I think for a lot of people, she's going to be a big hurdle for them getting involved in the show. So, I mean, let's see if it works out for her. But I'm nervous about her choices at this point. I honestly, as a producer, would pass. I would not want to work with her because I just think it's gone so poorly with everything she's touched post Fleabag. But we'll see. I mean, she even kind of worked on the Indiana Jones script, and you can see how awful that turned out. So it was sad. All right, but speaking of new shows, here's one that's really gotten a lot of people interested. They're doing Spider-Man Noir live action with Mr. Nicolas Cage. Everybody's going to watch that. So not only is Nicolas Cage starring, but it's from Steve Lightfoot, who not only did Hannibal, the Hannibal show, he worked on that show, but also Punisher for Netflix. And everybody was very happy with Punisher. So I think this is going to do very well. I hope you never know for sure, but I think, the odds I think are against Tomb Raider, and I think the odds are in favor of this show. This is a live action show, and as I said, and the description is an aging, down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York City grapples with being the one and only superhero in the city. Sounds pretty good to me. I think it's going to be great. I think it's a really good idea. Is it going to be in black and white and stuff? I hope so. Although people really seem to not like black and white cinematography. It was a deal breaker for a lot of people with Ripley, so maybe they won't do that. But Nicolas Cage is really a lot of fun. I think he's willing to do really crazy stuff. I think he'll go all in on this, and I think at the very least it'll be fun to watch. Yeah, Stebity says, you want to ban the Morbius and Madam Web writers. Well, I mean, there is a chance this could be as bad as Morbius and Madam Web, although both those properties were so bad that they became pop culture icons at the same time. So at the very least, people will talk about this in that regard. So, but it's pretty funny. But I think this is a good headline. So I'm excited for this show, and I think it's a good project. They've been talking about doing, like, Silk was supposed to be a show, and none of that happened. But this is the one that finally is getting off the ground. Also, by the way, the people who do the Spider-Verse movies, which of course introduced Nicolas Cage as this character, they are producing. So Amy Pascal and Lord and Miller are all producing this show. So that makes me feel a little bit more confident as well. All right, final headline. Here's Aldous Hodge. I love Aldous Hodge. He, of course, tried to be Hawkman. Didn't work out with Dwayne Johnson. I thought he would have been a better Mr. Terrific, although we'll see how James Gunn's version works out of that character. But anyway, here he is. He's landed on his feet. He's really landed on his feet because he's the new Alex Cross. This show, Amazon is so excited about it that they revealed that not only is this coming up, but it's already been renewed for season 2. So I think that's really great. Now, for those of you who don't know who Alex Cross is one of James Patterson's detectives. And originally he was a movie character. He's a detective. He's an African-American detective. There's so many shows and movies about detectives. And there's always like, oh, this detective's like this detective's like that. This is, Alex Cross. He is not only a detective, but he also is like, like Mindhunter. He also is like a psychologist. So yes, that's right, Kareem. Morgan Freeman started out playing the character in some movies, and then Tyler Perry took over the character in the last couple of films. None of them really totally caught on. I believe they both made 2. But this to me sounds really exciting. Aldous Hodge is extremely well cast. Some of you are saying it's Jack Reacher. It's very much like Jack Reacher. That's right, Mr. Magic. He's a profiler. I mean, he's a great choice for this. I think this is going to blow him up. I think this is just fantastic. And, in other shows, I also think, you see a lot of these type of shows, The Loner. We were just talking about Reacher and Roadhouse. But, I think, shows to highlight, the Black community. And the idea is obviously that you want the Black community to be really into the show, but then also it would be ideal if everybody was into the show. And I think that this, to me, just from this still alone, I'm like, I'd watch that. That looks great. Netflix has Lupin, with Omar Sy from France. And then, of course, Apple TV has Hijack with Idris Elba, which was just recently renewed. And I think this puts Aldous Hodge in the race, right with those other actors. And that's very exciting for him. This is a big deal for his career. I'm very happy that he got it. Look how he's wearing that sweater. You can see the muscles in the sweater. I think I hope this does for him what Reacher has done for Alan Ritchson. And also, of course, a show like this is really dependent on the murderers. And, they already announced that season 2 is going to have Matthew Lillard in it. I'm like, can we get to season 2 now? And they're like, no, you must watch season 1. And I'm like, okay. But I mean, even the back of the head of that murderer looks pretty exciting. You're like, oh, that guy looks creepy and crazy. Take him down, Alex Cross. So I think it's a great idea. And, eventually this show will be something that I can put in the poster frame. And everyone can get excited about it. I think this has tremendous potential. So if I were an Amazon executive, I'd be very, very excited about this show. I'd be like, oh, I was right to greenlight that. Degaitai, Matthew Lillard is going to be in season 2 of Alex Cross. Look at even that logo with the O being Alex Cross himself. Oh, it's beautiful. It's great stuff. All right, so those are the headlines out of the Amazon Upfront. It was, as you can see, incredible. So now we'll do the Ask Me Anything for 10 minutes. It's 2:52. You can ask me anything you'd like until 3:02. All right. You can ask me anything you'd like about Prime Video announcements, or I guess something else if you'd like to. Let's see here. Kareem, Yahya Abdul-Mateen is Wonder Man, and they were filming that, so it's going to come out someday. Remy, the Disney Upfronts are at 4 p.m. So basically in a scooch over an hour from now. I'm not, Gap and Danny, I would love to cover House of the Dragon, but Max is extremely aggressive with that coverage. Not only did they not allow reactions, but they did not allow me even to break down the trailer, the first trailer. So I will be covering the show itself, but you just can't touch those trailers. Hey, Garnet Fire. CM says, my amazing brother Jake and his great wife Natalia were married on Friday and are huge fans of the channel. Oh, that's so nice. Of course I'll give them a shout out. Hey, Jake and Natalia, congratulations on getting married. That's very exciting. Let's see here. Joy says, are we getting any other Marvel news other than the Agatha trailer? I'm not even sure if we're definitely getting an Agatha trailer. You're probably going to get something for Agatha. But we'll see what we get. Disney, I'm sure, came to play. And also, don't forget, it's not just Disney presenting at 4 o'clock, but Hulu as well. I wouldn't be shocked if they announced Shogun Season 2 later today. Let's see here. Keith says, will you try Rings of Power Season 2? If it's slow, maybe I will. Maybe a hot Sauron will bring me back as well. David Felton says, with coverage of X-Men tomorrow, you're going to be able to do the Wicked trailer. I'm probably not going to do the Wicked trailer, David, because I think tomorrow my plan is to get up very early and break down X-Men and then do a live stream talking about whatever Disney presents later today. So that leaves Wicked in not a great spot. I don't know why they're releasing it this week, right smack in the middle of Upfronts. There was nothing happening last week, and there's probably nothing happening next week. Joshua Holmes, I'm so glad you got gifted a membership. And I didn't watch the Wicked featurette because a friend of mine texted me and said, there's too much in it. It gives away too much of the movie. Don't look at it. And so I was like, okay, I'll stay away. Danny, I don't cover Bridgerton. That's just not for me. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, Garnet Fire. Let's see here. I did see The Last of Us set leaks, Tiff. Was it really a leak, though? I mean, it just, it looked good. It looked a lot like the finale of the last season. Stephen Turner says, did you see Storm is getting an upcoming solo comic series, and it was just announced she will now be in the Avengers book? I do love me some Storm. I would love to see Ryan Coogler introduce her into the MCU. Fritz Fromm, Megapolis or Megalopolis or whatever Francis Ford Coppola's smoking. I don't think anybody's going to watch that. Let's see here. He's releasing it himself. It's on the Francis Ford Coppola YouTube channel if you want to watch that trailer, which I find hilarious. Nobody would release that movie. Do you know how bad it has to be that no one would release it? Nobody. Nobody is willing to plunk down $20 to $30 million to advertise it. And you can see it advertises itself quite a bit. Nobody will take it. No one. Let's see here. Garnet Fire, I'm so glad you remember. Bear Like Fire, that's a great name. Says, thoughts on Janelle Monáe Storm casting rumors. I would love it. I hope they don't go too young with the characters. I think she'd be fantastic. Asensio says, what did you think of Abu Bakr Salim in the House of the Dragon trailer? Oh, I was great. I bet he's shaving his head because he doesn't want anyone to see that he's got white hair like a certain family. I'm very excited about it. Let's see here. Have a great flight, Brock52. Stebity says, how do you feel about Amazon digging through MGM's IP library for new content? I feel great about it. Why else do you think they purchased them? Are there any MGM properties you would like to see on Prime Video? I'd love to see something with Bond. If they could do, that reality show is kind of lame, but I'd like to see them maybe do something with that IP. Let's see here. Ella Purnell is not going to be Lara Croft because she's already on Fallout. She's already booked. She has her show. Let's see here. Jose, you missed the stream. The Elle Woods is up here because they're doing a prequel to Legally Blonde. Let's see here. Jerry, I'm so glad you got gifted a membership. Let's see here. Miss Dorian says, what can we expect from the upfronts for Disney? Well, they're going to be promoting Disney Plus and Hulu. And so I think you'll see, I think you're going to definitely see something for Agatha. And probably, as I said, something for Shogun's season 2. Yes, Of the Tide. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was in that horrible Han Solo origin story. She was that droid. That very annoying droid. Pearl Plum Sparkle. I'm sorry you didn't get credit for the Megalopolis trailer question. I love that you wanted. Good for you, Pearl. Let's see here. Remy, I'm very... Gambit fan there. I'm very excited for X-Men tomorrow for the season finale. Let's see here. Newswriter 22 says, had to send this note in green because I'm celebrating my Emerald Gem today. Happy 3 years to me. Yes, happy anniversary, Newswriter 22. You're a wonderful member and part of the community. Let's see here. CM says, for Bond, they should do a Q Moneypenny spinoff. I think that's a great idea. Maybe like a Felix spinoff for the CIA. J. Jonah James says, Agatha trailer predictions. It seems a little early for a trailer for Agatha, to be honest with you, because that doesn't come out until the end of the year. I would think they would promote it instead at Comic-Con, but they need something flashy for their presentation, so maybe Agatha is it. Let's see here. Yes, he says, Grace, do you know when we might get our first look at Venom 3? I haven't heard anything, but I think it should be, obviously I would guess Comic-Con. Liam, you want a Grace Randolph Zombieland spinoff? That's very adorable. I love it. Stephen Turner says, thoughts on X-Men 97 being the third most watched Disney Plus series in 2024. It got a Gotham Award for the best new drama. I don't know. I'm always a little suspicious of that because we're not seeing it anywhere on the Nielsen charts. But I guess, we don't see a lot of Disney Plus or Hulu stuff on there. But I'm glad it's doing well. I think it's a phenomenal show. Bye, Cat Shack. Just Blaze Disney. I'm not going to see Wicked in advance. I just want to see Wicked as a movie, which is the way many people will experience it. Keith, I did see that rumor that Ryan Coogler could potentially direct an X-Men movie. I would trust Ryan Coogler to do anything. I think if he is going to do it, it would probably be Storm-centric. But I really like Ryan Coogler a lot. I would love him to be in charge of Storm. But I don't know how he could possibly be available because he's doing basically his Blade competitive movie, which has just started filming. And he's personally invested in that because remember, he gets the rights back at a certain point forever. Matthew says, thoughts on Red, White, and Royal Blue getting a sequel? Also, have you heard any rumors about Nicolas Galitzine being cast in Fantastic Four? I have not. Although, wouldn't he be Johnny Storm? They missed the opportunity to put him in that role. But that's great that Red, White, and Royal Blue got a sequel. I'm glad that it's so successful. Let's see here. M says, thoughts on the rumors of Kerry Russell and Judy Greer in Scream 7. Where's the Diplomat Season 2? That's what I want to know. Kerry Russell, that's her Netflix show. I love that show. All right, one more minute. Oh, Michelle liked The Diplomat too. Good stuff, right? Zay, I don't know why your question won't go through. It must have a blocked word in it. Brandon Freddy says, are you going to fly down to ride Tiana? I'm not going to fly down specifically for that, but I'm extremely excited to ride it at some point. And it makes me so happy to see people excited for that ride. I thought people were really, some people were really appalling when they got rid of Splash Mountain and decided to repurpose the ride. But I'm happy to see all the positivity around the launch. And I think like the days are selling out and stuff like that. And that just makes me really, really happy. I think it's going to be a great attraction. Tiff says, what's your next big review? This week, on Thursday, I will review If and Furiosa. Maybe Friday for Furiosa, although the embargo for both lifts tomorrow. But I got too much stuff to do tomorrow. I can't review them tomorrow. So they will be reviewed by the end of the week. Those are my next two big reviews, If and Furiosa. Oh, it's 3:03. All right, where are you? What are you doing? Let me say hi to you, and then I've got to go. Where are you? What are you doing? Garnet Fire, I too am picking up the Logan and Morph vibe on the show, but I don't know if Disney will ever do anything with that. Blair Wraith says, will you ever do a vlog special going to Disneyland or another trip? I don't know. I don't know if, I think my family would find that very frustrating. You know, I try not to make my work impose on my friends and family at all. Tiff says, watching in sunny Colorado at work, clocking out in 10 minutes. Oh, that's pretty nice. Mr. Magic's back in Portland after his incredible trip. Michelle is in rainy Brazil, while Heather is in Raleigh, North Carolina, about to leave for a massage. Ooh. Elise is excited for X-Men tomorrow, aren't we all? Oh, look, Luis is a chef for reals. Cooking. Delicioso. Jay says, sitting at home, pondering the meaning of life. Thank you again for your kind words and generosity, Jay. Danny says, a very warm day in Guatemala. Day off. Oh, that's great, Danny. You deserve it. Emerson Mello says, hi, Grace, playing some games and watching you from Brazil. Hello to you in Brazil. Let's see here. iHeart Movie says, in Ohio, about to finish yesterday's Movie Math and then finish Percy Jackson. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for being patient about Movie Math being a day late because of Mother's Day. David Seja said, just finished eating a breakfast sandwich for dinner. Might leave? What's that? And rewatch Abigail. Abigail, I bet, would be a fun rewatch. Happy birthday, Davy B. Jones. That's fantastic. James already saw If earlier today. I'm seeing it this evening. I'm seeing If today and Furiosa tomorrow. Let's see here. Batmad says the sun just came out in Los Angeles. Oh, that sounds very nice. Hazel said, just finished the lunch break, going back to work, but at least it's work from home. Hazel, I'm so glad we could keep you company on your lunch break. That sounds great. Kyle Selby says, about to head to a writing session in Los Angeles. That sounds productive. And Mandito says, thanks for the great stream. Have a great day, Grace. You too, Mandito Jr. Hey, Asensio in Madera, California. You guys are all very sweet to wish a happy birthday. Let's see here. And Kareem says, at home trying to figure out what healthy option to stuff in my family's mouths. That's funny, Kareem. Sounds a little passive-aggressive there, but it is probably hard to cook for everybody every day. I'm glad you're trying to give healthy food. Doc Hayes is eating shepherd's pie, about to rewatch. What's LLB? Liam Boyack says, chilling on the sofa, wondering which female celebrity Stephen Turner is stalking this week. I love that you guys are friends. Diego says, in LA, just resigned my job to move close to South Dakota with family and start my dream business. Oh, that's exciting, Diego. Good for you for taking the leap. Thank you, David C. Let's see here. Just another guy named Harry says, well, there's a bunch of Upfront news. I was wondering if they still did those. They do! And they had enough news from one streaming service to fill an entire stream. RJ14 is at work on lunch eating Chick-fil-A, while Stephen Turner is in Brooklyn about to start your full X-Men 97 binge before the new episode. You're all ready, Stephen. I love it. And then Mish just treated himself to a chocolate donut to watch with this stream. Oh, that's great. Hi from Cape Town, South Africa. Oh, you guys are great. You guys are so much fun. I love chatting with you and getting to know you. All right, well, I better get going. Hopefully, if there is an Agatha trailer, I'll be able to react before I have to head off to my screening. Allison says, an Ohio cleaning house with my toddler helping me. Oh, hello to your toddler, Allison. So adorable. I'm glad we could keep both of you company cleaning the house. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye, everybody. Bye-bye.